All right, let's just dive right into this explainer, because today we are definitively unpacking why running a digital platform in 2026 is an incredibly demanding, multi-departmental corporate career. I mean, we hear it all the time, right? That completely dismissive comment to go get a real job? Well, today we are looking at the hard data, the daily operational schedules, and the sheer infrastructure required to actually survive and thrive in this space.
We're going to audit this massive $200 billion industry by breaking it down into 5 key realities: the real job myth, the one-person media network, the weekly executive grind, the uncapped revenue engine, and finally, beyond the niche.
So, kicking things off with Section 1, the real job myth.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. It highlights this infuriating reality for creators. They are constantly bombarded with that outdated get a real job comment from traditionalists who are, quite frankly, entirely ignorant of the back-end grind. They completely misunderstand the highly structured, high-stakes entrepreneurship that's actually taking place behind the screen.
And, a lot of this stems from what we call the invisible labor paradox. Because the labor is intentionally hidden to make the final product look completely effortless, people just mistakenly assume the work doesn't exist. They see someone talking to a camera and think, "Oh, what a fun hobby," totally missing the hours of tedious audio syncing, lighting setups, failed takes, and literally soul-crushing data analysis that goes into it.
When you actually map out the exact daily tasks of a creator, it lines up perfectly with a traditional corporate organizational chart. In a legacy TV network, planning concepts, setting up lighting, editing, social scheduling, and data analysis, those are 5 different people driving to 5 different office buildings. But in 2026, a solo content entrepreneur is wearing every single one of those executive hats themselves.
Which brings us right into Section 2, the one-person media network.
Instead of commuting to a high-rise, these independent media producers operate essentially like a solo TV station. They're doing the demanding work of 5 entire departments straight from their 32-gigabyte studio. They're registering LLCs, securing business licenses, paying commercial software fees, and filing complex self-employment tax returns. The government absolutely legally recognizes and taxes this as a corporate enterprise because, well, that is exactly what it is.
Now, there's a really important distinction we need to make here between a creator and an influencer. Creators focus heavily on the hidden labor of media asset production. They're acting as the writer, director, and editor, really mastering the platform algorithms and the art itself. An influencer, on the other hand, focuses on public relations and community trust. They act more as the star and spokesperson, mastering human connection and lifestyle branding.
So, an educational creator doesn't just make content. They are literally the CEO managing 4 distinct corporate branches. You aren't just uploading a video. You're running a media broadcasting network. You're maintaining a high-margin digital boutique filled with courses and ebooks. You're operating a retail merchandise store, and you're handling all the corporate bookkeeping to keep the whole shebang legal.
Let's move on to Section 3 to really visualize this: the weekly executive grind.
If you ever needed visual proof to completely crush the myth that these folks are just playing on their phones all day, just look at how a typical 60-hour operational cycle breaks down. Deep production and editing take up a massive 25-hour chunk of the week, followed closely by 20 hours of store operations and direct service delivery like one-on-one consultations, and then rounded out by 15 raw hours of live broadcasting. It is a grind. Even just getting a single piece of media live is an act of high-stakes entrepreneurship. It requires a brutally strict workflow just to please the algorithm and ensure that your paycheck actually arrives on the 22nd. We're talking exporting and compressing 4K files, engineering highly psychological thumbnail graphics, optimizing search engine tags, and then actively managing that crucial first hour of live comments just to trigger platform reach. And 0. That is the exact number of safety nets you have. If you take a sick day and miss an upload, the algorithm immediately punishes your reach, and your income absolutely plummets. In a traditional 9-to-5, your paycheck is pretty much guaranteed regardless of the daily foot traffic, right? But here, your livelihood depends entirely on your daily output and your own relentless self-discipline.
Okay, let's talk about the money in Section 4, the uncapped revenue engine.
When we chart the monthly income trajectory, you see that while the first 6 months are brutally underpaid, the established creator completely bypasses the traditional corporate salary ceiling. That initial phase is basically manufacturing. You're building an invisible inventory of digital assets for pennies. But once that library and storefront compound over 18 months or so, the trajectory shoots up aggressively into 6-figure yearly territory.
And a massive driver of that wealth is this number right here, 80%. That represents the profit margins on digital boutique products like planners and courses, creating a highly lucrative passive income engine. Because digital assets have zero shipping costs and can be replicated infinitely, selling just a few high-ticket bundles creates margins that traditional brick-and-mortar retail stores can honestly only dream of.
This is exactly how a creator builds a rock-solid, diversified financial portfolio that doesn't rely on just one single boss or one single paycheck. From platform ad revenue acting as a baseline floor, to live gifting, to those highly profitable boutique sales and lucrative brand sponsorships, they are building multiple pillars of income. So if one algorithm shifts, the business survives.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Beyond the Niche. To really understand where this is all going, consider the incredible legacy of someone like booktwannayvette. This career is about digitizing decades of accredited real-world expertise. Her timeline completely destroys the myth that social media is just a fleeting fad. She was a digital pioneer in broadcasting way back in 2005, long before the current landscape existed, and she has successfully scaled 30 years of offline education in ministry and cosmetology into a sustainable digital empire.
And here is the major paradigm shift of 2026. You no longer have to water down your diverse talents into tiny little boxes. That old advice to niche down is completely dead. Today's modern algorithms route each individual piece of content, whether it's the ultimate cake recipe or an incredibly in-depth makeup tutorial, to the exact person looking for it. You are the niche.
To pull this off, a multi-streamer uses some seriously heavy-duty infrastructure. From that 32GB studio control room we talked about, a veteran creator can manage live audio mixes featuring their gospel roots in the Quad Cities Mass Choir, pivot seamlessly to a live ministry broadcast, and then end the day hosting a masterclass on organization, all broadcasted simultaneously across global platforms. It's wild. And that proves exactly why providing a variety of content builds such an unforgettable network based on genuine human connection. The audience isn't just following a topic anymore, they are following the person. By bringing their lifetime of gifts, talents, and curated education online, creators act as the ultimate modern digital educators and entertainers.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. It is time we finally recognize that these creators haven't just found the job, they have built the modern corporate conglomerate. The tools have changed, sure, but the executive labor has only intensified. If directing, managing, and executing a multi-department digital storefront from your computer isn't real work, well, then the corporate world might just need to update its dictionary. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.